The lights in the grand chamber dimmed as Ambassador Veltar stepped forward. His blue skin seemed pale under the harsh lights of the Galactic Council station. Around him, representatives from dozens of worlds sat in nervous silence. They all knew why they were here. "Fellow council members," Veltar began, his voice shaking slightly, "we face a threat unlike any we have seen before. The humans have been in space for only 50 years, but already they spread fear across the galaxy." On the giant screen behind him, reports flashed by. Ship after ship destroyed, pirate fleets vanishing completely, trade routes abandoned because no one dared travel them anymore. 3 months ago, Veltar continued, the Bloodclaw pirates attacked a human cargo ship, 17 pirate vessels against 1 merchant vessel. The pirates had done this 1,000 times before. They expected an easy victory. The screen showed wreckage floating in space. Twisted metal that had once been proud warships now drifted like broken toys. The human ship was damaged but still flying. The pirates were completely destroyed. All of them. When our investigation team arrived, they found something terrible. The pirate ships had been torn apart from the inside. Someone had boarded them and killed every crew member. A Zelkari representative raised one of his forearms. Perhaps the humans had military escorts? No, Veltar replied. Our scans confirmed it. 1 cargo ship with a crew of 20 humans. That was all. Murmurs filled the chamber. How could 20 merchant sailors destroy an entire pirate fleet? It gets worse, Veltar said. The Skull Nebula raiders hit a human mining station last week. 200 raiders in powered armor. They found the station defended by 40 human miners with basic weapons. The raiders should have won easily. The screen showed security footage from the mining station. Human miners moved with deadly purpose through the corridors. They did not run or hide. They hunted. The raiders, feared across 3 sectors, fled in panic after losing half their force in the first 10 minutes. The surviving raiders keep talking about the same thing, Veltar said. They say the humans did not fight like prey animals defending themselves. They fought like predators enjoying a hunt. Captain Wu Jin stood on the bridge of the UES Dauntless, a standard Earth Defense Force patrol ship. His crew of 30 worked calmly at their stations. The ship was nothing special by human standards. It carried basic weapons and standard armor. In human space, it was considered a light patrol vessel. To the rest of the galaxy, it was a nightmare. "Captain," called out Lieutenant Sumin from the sensor station. "Zelkari ships approaching. 6 raiders moving to attack formation." Wu Jin nodded. The Zelkari were known for their aggression. They attacked anything they thought they could defeat. Today they had made a mistake. "Standard response," Wu Jin ordered. "Let them come." The Zelkari ships opened fire first. Plasma bolts struck the Dauntless, but the human ship's shields held easily. The raiders expected return fire. Instead, the human ship moved closer. "Sir," Suman reported, "they're launching boarding pods." "Good," Wu Jin replied. "Inform the crew. We have visitors." On the Zelkari flagship, Commander Vexitar watched his boarding pods attached to the human ship. His warriors were the best raiders in this sector. They had boarded hundreds of ships. This would be easy. "All teams report successful attachment," his communications officer said. "Beginning boarding operations now." Vexitar smiled, showing sharp teeth. Soon he would have human prisoners to sell and a human ship to add to his fleet. The first team breached the human ship's hull and entered a cargo bay. They expected to face terrified crew members with small weapons. Instead, they found humans waiting for them in organized positions. The human crew did not look afraid. They looked excited. "Contact!" the team leader shouted into his radio. "Humans are ready for us." The transmission cut off. Vexitar tried to contact the second team, static, the third team, nothing. In less than 5 minutes, all 6 boarding teams had gone silent. "Sir," his sensor operator called out, "something is happening to our ships." On the screen, Vexitar watched in horror as his other vessels began to lose power. Their engines went dark. Their weapons stopped firing. One by one, they drifted helplessly in space. "How is this possible?" Vexitar demanded. "Our ships are sealed. No one boarded them." His communications officer's face was pale with fear. "Sir, I'm getting reports from the other ships. Their crews are unconscious. They don't know how it happened. One moment they were fighting, the next they woke up tied to their stations." A new voice came over the communication system. It was calm and spoke the Zelkari language perfectly. "Zelkari vessels, this is Captain Wu Jin of the Earth ship Dauntless. Your boarding teams have been captured. Your ships have been disabled. You have two choices. Leave now, or we will take more direct action. Vextar's hands shook as he activated his communicator. Human Captain, how did you do this? How did you disable our ships without us seeing you? There was a pause. Then Wujin's voice came back, and Vextar could hear amusement in it. Commander, this is standard procedure for us. Your tactics are very basic. We study them in our military schools as examples of what not to do. Impossible. We are the greatest raiders in this sector. Perhaps, Wujin replied. But you are raiders. We are soldiers. There is a difference. Vextar looked around his bridge. His crew stared back at him with terrified eyes. They had attacked what they thought was a helpless merchant vessel. Instead, they had found professional military officers who treated their assault like a training exercise. We're leaving, Vextar said finally. A wise choice, Wujin replied. Take this message back to your people. Find easier targets. Human space is not for you. The Zelkari ships limped away, their crews traumatized and their pride broken. Within days, the story spread across the criminal underworld. The humans did not just fight back. They enjoyed fighting. They were good at it. Very good. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, Ambassador Veltar finished his report. Every attack on human ships has ended the same way, he said. Complete victory for the humans. Total defeat for everyone else. Our military analysts have reached a conclusion. He paused, looking at the faces around him. Humans are apex predators who somehow learned to build spaceships. They do not fight wars. They hunt prey. The only safe option is to avoid making them angry. The vote was unanimous. Humanity would be left alone. Councillor Yunji stepped off the transport shuttle onto Altarian soil. The planet's red sun cast everything in a crimson glow that matched the warrior culture of its people. Behind her, 6 humans in simple uniforms followed. They carried no visible weapons and looked completely relaxed. High General Kolvak waited at the landing platform with a full honor guard. His massive frame towered over the humans, and his forearms wore ceremonial armor that had been blessed in 100 battles. The Altarians were the finest warriors in their sector. They had never been conquered. Welcome, human ambassador, Kolvak said in accented standard. We greet you with respect and curiosity. Yunji smiled and bowed slightly. Thank you, High General. We come in peace and friendship. Kolvak studied her security detail. The humans seemed so small and fragile compared to his warriors. Your guards look very young, Ambassador. Are they experienced soldiers? They're adequate, Yunji replied. Sergeant Tejo here has been in the Defense Force for 8 years. Tejo stepped forward and saluted. He was average height for a human, with calm eyes and an easy smile. To the Altarians, he looked like a child playing soldier. Only 8 years? Kolvak asked, surprised. Our youngest warrior guards have at least 20 years of combat experience. Different cultures, different standards, Yunji said diplomatically. Over the next 3 days, the Altarians hosted formal ceremonies and diplomatic talks. They were impressed by human technology and interested in trade agreements. But they remained curious about human military capabilities. Stories from across the galaxy spoke of human ferocity in battle, but these humans seemed so ordinary. On the 4th day, Kolvak made his proposal. Ambassador Yunji, he said during the evening feast, my people are warriors. We respect strength above all things. Would your finest guards consent to honor duels with our champions? It would help us understand each other better. Yunji looked thoughtful. I should mention that my security team are not elite troops. They're just regular Defense Force personnel. Of course, Kolvak replied, thinking this was human modesty. We understand. We would be honored to test our skills against Earth's finest. Tejo leaned over to whisper to Yunji. She nodded. Sergeant Tejo agrees to one exhibition match, she said, just to demonstrate human fighting techniques. No real weapons, training gear only. The next morning, thousands of Altarians gathered in the great arena. Kolvak had chosen his greatest champion, War Master Thekvar, a giant even by Altarian standards. Thekvar had won over 300 duels and had never been defeated. Tejo walked into the arena wearing simple training clothes. He carried no weapons. He looked around at the crowd and waved cheerfully as if he was at a sporting event. The human seems confident, observed General Morix from the viewing platform. Perhaps their reputation is deserved. We shall see, Kolvak replied. He activated his communicator. Thekvar, remember this is an exhibition. Do not seriously injure the human. Thekvar nodded from the arena floor. He wore practice armor and carried a blunted training sword. The human had refused any armor or weapons. "I am honored to face you, human warrior," Thekvar called out in standard. "Thank you," Teho replied. "Should we begin?" The horn sounded. Thekvar charged forward with a battle cry that echoed through the arena. His sword cut through the air where Teho had been standing, but the human was already moving, not running away, just stepping aside at the exact right moment. Thekvar swung again, and again. Each time, Teho moved just enough to avoid the blade. He never seemed hurried or worried. He moved like he could see the future. "Why does he not attack?" asked General Morex. "He is studying Thekvar's technique," Kolvak realized with growing unease. After 2 minutes of missing every swing, Thekvar was breathing hard. Humans were supposed to tire quickly, but Teho looked like he had just started a pleasant walk. "Your form is very good," Teho said conversationally while dodging another attack. "Very classical. You learned from the third style masters, didn't you?" Thekvar was so surprised he stumbled. "How do you know our fighting styles?" "We study them in basic training," Teho replied. "Most galactic combat techniques have obvious weaknesses." Then Teho moved. Not fast enough to seem superhuman, but with perfect precision. He stepped inside Thekvar's guard, grabbed the warrior's sword arm and used the Altarian's own momentum to throw him to the ground. Thekvar landed hard but rolled back to his feet immediately. He was a veteran warrior and would not be defeated so easily. He attacked again, this time varying his pattern and using advanced techniques. It made no difference. Teho avoided every strike and countered with moves that seemed impossible. He used Altarian combat techniques better than the Altarians themselves. When Thekvar tried a signature move that had won him 50 duels, Teho countered it before the attack was even halfway complete. The crowd fell silent. Their greatest champion was being defeated by an unarmed human who claimed to be a basic soldier. The match ended when Teho caught Thekvar's sword hand and applied a joint lock that forced the warrior to drop his weapon. Thekvar found himself on his knees, completely helpless. "Do you yield?" Teho asked politely. "I yield," Thekvar gasped. Teho immediately released him and helped him stand. "You fought well. Your technique is very good for traditional methods." From the viewing platform, Kolvak watched in shock. His greatest champion had been defeated easily by a human who acted like this was normal. "General," whispered Morex, "if this human is just a basic soldier, what are their elite troops like?" Kolvak had no answer. That evening, Yunji met with the Altarian leadership in private. The room was much quieter than before. "Your Sergeant Teho fought well," Kolvak said carefully. "He has excellent training." "Standard Earth Defense Force training," Yunji confirmed. 8 weeks of basic combat instruction, then regular practice sessions. The Altarians exchanged looks. 8 weeks of training had produced a warrior who could defeat their greatest champion. "Ambassador," General Morex asked slowly, "what would a human elite soldier be capable of?" Yunji considered her answer carefully. "That's classified information, General. I can tell you that our special forces exist, but their capabilities are not discussed with foreign governments." "Of course," Kolvak said. "We understand military secrets." But privately, the Altarian leadership was terrified. They had built their entire culture around being the greatest warriors in their region. If human basic soldiers could defeat their champions, what did that make them? Within hours, coded messages went out to every Altarian military base. The humans were not to be challenged or provoked under any circumstances. Their basic troops were already beyond Altarian capabilities. Their elite forces were unimaginable. Yunji's shuttle departed the next morning with a comprehensive trade agreement and a military cooperation treaty. The Altarians had agreed to everything the humans wanted without asking for a single concession. As they lifted off, Teho looked down at the planet below. "Do you think we overdid it?" he asked Yunji. "Not at all," she replied. "You held back nicely. If you had used actual military techniques instead of sport fighting, someone might have gotten hurt." Teho nodded. He had been careful to make the fight look competitive while using only the most basic hand-to-hand methods. If he had fought seriously, the match would have lasted seconds instead of minutes. On the planet below, the Altarians were already spreading the word to their allies. The humans were far more dangerous than anyone had realized. What the galaxy feared as humanity's peak warriors were just their ordinary troops. Nobody wanted to discover what their real soldiers could do. The emergency beacon from New Busan colony screamed across space. carrying a message that froze the blood of every ship captain in the sector. The Phantom Fleet had found them. For 30 years, the Phantom Fleet had been the galaxy's most feared threat. They appeared without warning, struck with overwhelming force, and vanished before any response could arrive. No one knew where they came from or how they moved so quickly. What everyone knew was that when the Phantom Fleet targeted your world, you had less than a day to live. Commander Yulhoon of the Hegemony Defense Fleet received the distress call at his base on Kepler Station. He immediately began gathering his forces. 3 battleships, 12 cruisers, and 2 carrier groups. It would take 6 hours to reach New Busan, but he had to try. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving another transmission from the New Busan system." Yulhoon expected to hear screams or pleas for help. Instead, he heard a calm human voice. "This is Colonel Minho of New Busan Colony. We have transmitted our situation to Earth Command. A response team is being dispatched. Any assistance from Allied forces would be appreciated but is not required." "Not required?" Yulhoon muttered. "The Phantom Fleet has 60 ships. New Busan has mining equipment and farming tools." His sensor officer looked up from her station. "Sir, I'm detecting a ship leaving Earth space. Single vessel heading for New Busan." "One ship?" Yulhoon stared at the display. "Have the humans lost their minds?" The ship that departed Earth looked ordinary on scanners. Medium size, standard configuration, no special markings. Its identification simply read, Earth Transport 7749. To anyone watching, it appeared to be a routine cargo vessel. Inside the ship, Jinwoo checked his equipment one final time. The 12 other members of Ghost Division sat quietly in their seats, each one focused on their own preparations. They had trained for this mission for years, but had never expected to use their skills on this scale. ETA to New Busan, 4 hours, the pilot announced. Phantom Fleet arrival estimated at 6 hours. Jinwoo nodded. Perfect timing. Ghost Division worked best when they arrived before the enemy expected them. On New Busan, Colonel Minho watched the skies with calm confidence. His colony had 2,000 civilians and a small security force with basic weapons. Against any normal threat, they would be helpless. But the Phantom Fleet was about to learn that attacking human colonies had consequences. Admiral Kexthul commanded the Phantom Fleet from his flagship, the Void Reaper. His fleet of 60 warships had never failed to destroy their target. They used quantum tunneling drives to appear anywhere in the galaxy without warning. Their weapons could crack planets. Their crews were hardened veterans from a dozen different species. Target acquired, his navigation officer reported. Human mining colony, population approximately 2,000. Minimal defenses, easy prey. Kexthul smiled. Begin the attack. The Phantom Fleet emerged from quantum space in perfect formation. 60 ships of death surrounded the small human colony. On New Busan, the colonists watched the sky fill with enemy vessels. "This is Admiral Kexthul of the Phantom Fleet," came the broadcast. "You have 10 minutes to prepare for death. We give no mercy and take no prisoners." Colonel Minho activated the colony's communication system. "Admiral Kexthul, this is Colonel Minho. I advise you to leave immediately. You are about to make a serious mistake." Kexthul laughed. "Human, you are surrounded by 60 warships. What mistake could I possibly make?" "You attacked a human colony," Minho replied simply. "That was your mistake." Kexthul cut off the communication and gave the order to attack. Plasma cannons charged and missile tubes loaded. The colony would be ash within minutes. Then his sensor officer screamed, "Sir, energy signatures appearing throughout the fleet. Something is boarding our ships." "Impossible," Kexthul snapped. "Our shields are up. Nothing can penetrate them." But the displays showed the truth. Unknown energy patterns were materializing inside every ship in the fleet. Not on the hulls or near the airlocks, but directly inside the sealed vessels. "Report," Kexthul demanded. His communication system filled with panicked voices from across the fleet. "Bridge to engine room, respond. Security teams to deck 7. Something is wrong with the lights. They keep going out." The crew in Section 4 just disappeared. Jinwoo moved through the corridors of the enemy flagship like a shadow. The Phantom Fleet's technology was impressive, but they had never faced an opponent who could walk through walls. Ghost Division's quantum suits let them phase through solid matter for short periods, appearing inside enemy ships without triggering any alarms. His team worked with silent efficiency. They appeared in key locations throughout the fleet, disabling weapon systems and neutralizing crew members. The enemy never saw them coming and rarely understood what was happening before they fell unconscious. Team leaders report. Jinwoo spoke into his helmet communicator. Team 2. Weapons systems down on targets 1 through 10. Team 3. Engine rooms secured on targets 11 through 20. Team 4. Command centers captured on targets 21 through 30. The reports continued. In less than 30 minutes, the entire Phantom fleet had been infiltrated and disabled. Not destroyed, simply neutralized. The crews were unconscious, the weapons were offline, and the engines were shut down. On his flagship bridge, Admiral Kexithol found himself alone. His crew lay sleeping at their stations, somehow knocked unconscious without any sign of struggle. The bridge doors had never opened. No alarms had sounded, yet everyone except him was down. How? He whispered to the empty bridge. A voice answered from behind him. Kexthul spun around to see a human in strange armor standing in the middle of the bridge. The man had appeared from nowhere. Advanced technology, Jinwoo said calmly. You should have researched your targets better. What are you? Kexthul asked, his voice shaking. Ghost Division, Jinwoo replied. We handle threats to human colonies. Kexthul reached for his weapon but found his hand moving too slowly. Whatever the human had used to disable his crew was affecting him too. His vision blurred and his legs gave out. Sleep well, Jinwoo said as the Admiral collapsed. Across the fleet, the story was the same. Every ship disabled, every crew unconscious, every weapon silent. The Phantom fleet that had terrorized the galaxy for decades had been neutralized by 13 humans in less than an hour. Commander Yulhoon arrived with his rescue fleet 6 hours later. His sensors detected 60 ships floating dead in space around New Busan Colony. The human colony was completely unharmed. This is Commander Yulhoon to New Busan Colony, he transmitted. What is your status? All secure here, Colonel Minho replied. The threat has been handled. Handled? Commander, I'm reading 60 disabled Phantom Fleet vessels. How did you manage this? We didn't. Earth sent a response team. Yulhoon looked at his sensor displays in confusion. I'm not detecting any human warships. What response team? Ghost Division. They came, dealt with the problem, and left. How many ships? 1 transport. 13 personnel. The bridge of Yulhoon's flagship fell silent. 13 humans had defeated the most feared pirate fleet in the galaxy. The same fleet that had destroyed entire battle groups was now floating helplessly in space. Where are the Ghost Division personnel now? Yulhoon asked. Gone, Minho replied. They finished their mission and returned to Earth. They said something about having other assignments. Yulhoon spent the next day investigating the Phantom Fleet ships. What he found disturbed him more than any battle damage could have. The crews were alive but unconscious. The ships were undamaged but completely disabled. Security footage showed impossible things. Humans walking through walls, appearing and disappearing at will, moving through defended areas without being detected. Most unsettling of all, the humans had clearly been holding back. They could have killed everyone easily but chose not to. They had demonstrated capabilities that seemed to violate the laws of physics, then simply left when their job was done. When news of the Phantom Fleet's defeat spread, the galaxy's intelligence services went into overdrive. If humans had troops this advanced, what else were they hiding? How many other divisions like Ghost Division existed? The answer, everyone realized with growing fear, was that nobody knew. The humans who had terrified the galaxy with their basic troops apparently had secret forces that operated beyond normal understanding. And if 13 of them could destroy the Phantom Fleet, what could 100 do? Or 1,000? Nobody wanted to find out. The consortium of inner worlds made their decision in a secret meeting, held deep beneath the surface of Kepler Station. Director Vostok looked around the table at his fellow intelligence chiefs, each representing a different species united by one goal, learning the truth about human military capabilities. The situation is clear, Vostok began. Every encounter with human forces has shown capabilities beyond our understanding. We need concrete information about their limits. Chief Analyst Mordex nodded his agreement. The Ghost Division incident proved that humans have technology we cannot comprehend. But all species have weaknesses. We must find theirs. Which brings us to the current opportunity, Director Kelvar added, sliding a file across the table. Human diplomat Hye Jin will be traveling through our space next week. Her route takes her through the neutral zone where our jurisdiction is absolute. Vostok studied the file. A simple diplomat. No military background listed. This could give us the intelligence we need. What the consortium did not know was that Hyejin's diplomatic credentials were only part of her story. Before joining the diplomatic corps, she had spent 8 years with Lunar Special Operations, one of Earth's most classified military units. Her assignment to gather intelligence on galactic military capabilities was itself classified above the level most government officials could access. The capture happened exactly as planned. Hyejin's transport was stopped for a routine inspection while traveling through consortium space. Security teams found nothing suspicious and allowed the ship to continue to Kepler Station for fuel and supplies. Once docked, Hyejin was arrested on fabricated charges of espionage. Within hours, she was in a high-security holding cell deep inside the station, far from any possible rescue attempt. Perfect execution, Vostok told his team. Now we begin questioning. I want to know everything about human military structure, training methods, and technology. The first interrogation session went poorly for the consortium. Hyejin sat calmly in her chair, answered only basic questions about her diplomatic mission, and seemed completely unafraid. When pressed about military matters, she simply stated that she was a civilian diplomat with no military knowledge. She's lying, Chief Mordex insisted after the session. No human could be this calm in our situation unless they had training. Continue the questioning, Vostok ordered. Use enhanced techniques if necessary. What they did not realize was that every moment of Hyejin's captivity was being recorded and transmitted. Her diplomatic credentials included a quantum communicator that appeared to be a simple jewelry piece. Earth Command was watching everything. On the third day of her captivity, Hyejin's situation activated protocols the galaxy had never seen. Strategic Reconnaissance Command received the alert and immediately began planning their response. Young Ho studied the intelligence reports from his command center, buried deep beneath Seoul. As the Strategic Reconnaissance Commander, he oversaw operations that officially did not exist. His unit specialized in missions too sensitive for conventional forces and too complex for direct military action. Analysis? He asked his intelligence chief. Kepler Station is a fortress, Captain So-young replied. Automated defenses, constant sensor sweeps, multiple layers of security. Any direct assault would be detected immediately and result in significant casualties. Then we don't assault it, Young Ho said simply. We infiltrate it. Sir, their security systems are designed to detect any unauthorized presence. Ghost Division's quantum suits wouldn't work here. Too many quantum sensors. Young Ho smiled. Who said anything about being unauthorized? The rescue mission began 6 days before Young Ho's team even approached Kepler Station. It started with subtle manipulation of the consortium's own security systems. Database entries were altered slightly. Personnel records were adjusted. Shift schedules were modified. The changes were so small that no one noticed them individually, but together they created gaps in the station's security that should not have existed. Young Ho's team arrived at Kepler Station as scheduled maintenance workers. Their credentials were perfect because they had been created using the consortium's own systems. Their equipment passed all security scans because it was exactly what maintenance workers would carry. Welcome to Kepler Station, the security officer said as he processed their paperwork. Your quarters are in Section C. Maintenance work begins tomorrow at 800. Thank you, Young Ho replied in perfect consortium standard. We're honored to work on such an impressive facility. For 3 days, Young Ho's team performed their cover roles perfectly. They maintained environmental systems, repaired minor equipment failures, and updated software on various computer terminals. No one suspected them of anything except being thorough in their work. But each task gave them access to different parts of the station. The environmental maintenance required access to air recycling systems, which connected to every room. Software updates required administrative access to security computers. Equipment repairs let them map the entire facility. On the 4th day, strange things began happening on Kepler Station. Security officers reported minor equipment malfunctions. Cameras would turn off for exactly 30 seconds before resuming normal operation. Door locks would cycle open and closed for no apparent reason. Computer terminals would display random data for brief moments. System glitches, the chief security officer assured Director Vostok. The maintenance team is investigating, but the glitches had a pattern that only became clear later. Every malfunction occurred in areas where sensitive information was stored or discussed. Every camera failure happened when classified documents were being reviewed. Every door malfunction occurred near restricted areas. Director Vostok began finding subtle signs that someone had been in his office. Papers were moved slightly out of place. His personal computer showed files that had been accessed at times when he was not present. His private safe had been opened and closed without triggering any alarms. Increase security sweeps, he ordered. Someone is moving through areas they should not be in. The security sweeps found nothing, but the psychological pressure was building. Officers began reporting that they felt watched while walking through empty corridors. Personal items disappeared and reappeared in different locations. Classified documents were found in places where they should never have been. "Sir," Chief Mordex reported nervously, "I found this on my desk this morning." He handed Vostok a single sheet of paper. On it was a detailed floor plan of the station, with every security measure marked and every classified area highlighted. At the bottom, written in perfect consortium script, were the words, "We know where everything is." Vostok stared at the paper with growing horror. Someone had mapped their entire facility and could apparently go anywhere they wanted without being detected. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Our security is absolute." His answer came the next morning when he found Hyejin's cell empty and unlocked. The prisoner was gone, but there was no sign of forced entry. The guards were unconscious at their posts, but showed no signs of injury. The security cameras had recorded nothing unusual. On Vostok's desk was another note. "Your prisoner has been retrieved. Thank you for your hospitality. We recommend better security training for your staff." Young Ho's team left Kepler Station exactly as they had arrived, as scheduled maintenance workers completing their assignment. Their departure paperwork was properly filed and approved. Their transport left on time with full clearance from station control. Nobody realized they had taken Hyejin with them until 6 hours later, when the security shift change discovered her empty cell. By then, Young Ho's team was already in hyperspace, heading home. Hyejin sat in the team's transport, reviewing the intelligence data she had gathered during her captivity. "Did you get what you needed?" Young Ho asked. "Complete intelligence profiles on their command structure," Hyejin replied. "Security protocols, communication methods, and psychological profiles of their leadership. 3 days of interrogation taught me more about their capabilities than months of diplomatic meetings could have." "And them?" Hyejin smiled. "They learned that capturing a human diplomat has consequences they did not anticipate. The psychological impact on the consortium was exactly what Earth Command had hoped for. Within days, every consortium facility had implemented new security measures. Personnel were ordered to report any unusual activities immediately. Paranoia spread through their intelligence services as officers realized that humans could apparently infiltrate any location at will. Most importantly, the consortium learned that what they thought was a simple diplomat was actually a highly trained intelligence operative. If humans embedded Special Forces personnel in their diplomatic corps, what other secrets were they hiding? The rescue mission sent a clear message to the galaxy's intelligence services. Humans did not abandon their people, and attempting to capture them for information would result in responses no one wanted to face. From his office on Earth, Young Ho reviewed the mission reports with satisfaction. The consortium would think twice before targeting human personnel again, and the intelligence gathered would help protect human interests across the galaxy. The price of knowledge, he reflected, was sometimes higher than people expected to pay. 6 months after the Kepler Station incident, the Galactic Council met in emergency session once again. But this time, the atmosphere was different. Fear had been replaced by desperate hope. Across the galaxy, worlds were making the same request: protection from Earth. The Vegan Trade Union had been the first. After the Crimson Raiders destroyed 3 of their colonies, they sent an official request to Earth Command. Within days, human patrol ships arrived in their space. The raids stopped immediately. The Tau Ceti Alliance followed suit after their shipping lanes were attacked by unknown pirates. Human vessels appeared along their trade routes. The pirates vanished, never to be seen again. World after world made the same choice. Better to have human protection than to face the chaos of an unguarded galaxy alone. Ambassador Nari walked into the council chamber with confident steps. Behind her, a single figure in a simple black uniform followed. The representatives watched nervously as the 2 humans took their places at the podium. Honored council members, Nari began, her voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. I am Nari, Prime Ambassador of Earth. This is Colonel Kyung-soo, my military attaché. Kyung-soo stood silently, his hands clasped behind his back. He looked like any other human diplomat, but everyone in the chamber knew better. The intelligence reports on him were classified at the highest levels, but rumors spoke of something called the Titan Core. We gathered today to discuss the future of galactic civilization, Nari continued. Recent events have shown that the current system of independent defense and random alliances is not working. Pirates and raiders move freely between sectors. Trade routes are unsafe. Entire worlds live in fear. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Every representative had received requests for help from worlds in their territories. None of them had the resources to provide adequate protection. Earth proposes a new solution, Nari said. The Galactic Cooperation Accords, a framework for mutual security and prosperity that benefits everyone. Director Vossistak of the consortium spoke first. His experience at Kepler Station had left him deeply changed. Ambassador Nari, what exactly are you proposing? Simple cooperation, Nari replied. Any world that requests Earth's protection will receive it. In exchange, we ask only for standard trade agreements and mutual cooperation in maintaining galactic peace. And if a world chooses not to participate? Asked Counselor Melvar of the hegemony. Nari's smile was polite but cold. That is their choice, of course. Earth respects the sovereignty of all worlds. We will not force our protection on anyone who does not want it. The unspoken message was clear. Worlds that refused human protection would face whatever threats emerged from the darkness of space, without assistance. What guarantees do we have? Asked General Tekmol of the Altarian Republic. How do we know Earth will honor these agreements? Nari gestured to Kyung-soo, who stepped forward and activated a small device. A holographic display filled the center of the chamber, showing a detailed map of the galaxy. Every planet was visible, every space station, every military base, every strategic resource location. Thousands of targets glowed with soft blue light. We know where everything is, Kyung-soo said quietly. Every military installation, every government center, every population center in the galaxy. We have been watching. We have been learning. We have been preparing. The chamber fell silent. The implications were staggering. Earth had been conducting intelligence operations on a galactic scale, while everyone thought they were just aggressive merchants and soldiers. For how long? Whispered Ambassador Veltar. Since first contact, Nari replied. Humans do not enter any situation without understanding it completely. We have spent 50 years studying galactic civilization. We know your strengths, your weaknesses, your fears, and your hopes. Counselor Morkex of the Trade Federation found his voice. Are you threatening us? Quite the opposite, Nari said. We are offering you safety. The choice is simple. Accept our protection and prosper under guaranteed security. Or decline our offer and face the galaxy's dangers alone. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. But understand this. Earth will no longer stand by while innocent worlds suffer from raiders, pirates, and conquerors. We will act to preserve peace and stability. Whether we do so as your allies or as an independent force is your choice. Director Vossistak stood slowly. Ambassador, may I ask about your military capabilities? The incidents with Ghost Division and Strategic Reconnaissance have raised many questions. Nari nodded to Kyung-soo, who answered. The forces you have encountered represent approximately 15% of Earth's total military capability. Ghost Division handles special operations. Strategic Reconnaissance handles intelligence missions. These are support units. Support units? General Tekmol asked in disbelief. Our primary military forces have never been deployed outside Earth space. Kyung-soo continued. The Titan Corps, the Solar Guard, the Deep Strike Forces and other units remain in reserve. We prefer not to use them unless absolutely necessary. The chamber erupted in nervous whispers. If the forces that had terrorized pirates and infiltrated the galaxy's most secure facilities were just support units, what were Earth's primary military forces capable of? What happens to our own military forces under these accords? Asked Fleet Admiral Kolmesh. They remain under your command, Nari replied. Earth has no interest in occupation or conquest. We seek partnership, not dominance. Your worlds remain sovereign. Your governments remain independent. We simply provide security services and mutual cooperation. It was an offer no one could realistically refuse. Every world faced threats they could not handle alone. Pirates, raiders, hostile neighbors, and internal conflicts plagued every sector. Earth offered to solve all of these problems in exchange for simple cooperation. "What about worlds that violate the Accords?" asked Counselor Yextar. Kyung-Soo's expression did not change, but somehow the temperature in the chamber seemed to drop. "Such violations would be unfortunate. Earth prefers diplomatic solutions to all problems, but we are prepared for other options if necessary." The vote was called immediately. One by one, every representative cast their ballot. The Altarian Republic voted yes first, remembering their humbling encounter with human basic troops. The Consortium voted yes next, their leadership still traumatized by the Kepler incident. Within an hour, the Galactic Cooperation Accords passed with unanimous approval. Not because every world loved the idea, but because every world understood the alternative. As the session ended, Ambassador Nari made one final statement. "Earth welcomes this new era of cooperation. We look forward to working with all of you to build a safer, more prosperous galaxy. But remember this, peace is not the absence of conflict. Peace is the presence of justice, and justice, when necessary, will be enforced." 3 days later, the first human patrol fleets began deploying across the galaxy. They were not invasion forces or occupation armies. They were police units maintaining order and protecting commerce. Pirates and raiders who had operated freely for decades suddenly found themselves facing opponents who treated their attacks as criminal acts to be stopped, not military challenges to be fought. The Phantom Fleet's former hunting grounds became the safest shipping lanes in the galaxy. The Crimson Nebula, once avoided by all honest traders, became a regular stop on commercial routes. Worlds that had spent centuries defending themselves from raids and invasions could finally focus on growth and development. In the deep spaces between stars, human ships patrolled silently. Ghost Division vessels moved through shadow, ensuring that no threat could organize without being detected. Strategic reconnaissance teams watched and listened, gathering intelligence on any group that might threaten galactic peace. And in the classified facilities of Earth, the Titan Corps and other primary military units continued their training. They remained ready for deployment, but Earth's leaders hoped they would never be needed. The galaxy had learned to fear humanity's basic soldiers. Then they discovered humanity's special operations forces. Then they learned about humanity's intelligence capabilities. What they still did not know, and what Earth hoped they would never need to discover, was what humanity's actual military forces could do when fully unleashed. The human peace had begun. It would last as long as everyone remembered that challenging it meant facing capabilities that no one wanted to test. In his office overlooking the Pacific, Earth's defense minister reviewed the deployment reports with satisfaction. The galaxy was finally safe, not because humans had conquered it, but because humans had made it clear that conquest would not be tolerated. The greatest victory was not won through battle, but through the simple understanding that some battles were too terrible to fight. Peace through strength, security through vigilance, order through justice. This was humanity's gift to the galaxy, and its promise to the future.